Hello guys, and welcome back to Waveland Park and welcome back to the river's edge. As you can see right here, I already extended our sign for the river's edge and included the cayman and the red crowned crane because I definitely wanted them to be in the river's edge. I also think that I'm going to extend it a little more as well because we have room and I have the urge to put the capybaras in there as well because I think they would fit the whole area here perfectly, and it's already some kind of a wetland area, and yeah, you definitely have to have the capybara in there as well, I think. And it still would be some kind of SeaWorld-y. Or don't you think? Yeah. So, first things first. I'm very sorry, I'm always trying to keep my videos under 30 minutes because I always think it, something about 30 minutes or 25 minutes, something like that, is the perfect length for videos on YouTube, especially for Speedbuilds and Planet Zoo or something like that, because everything that's going on for a little bit longer is sometimes might be a little bit exhausting, and it's a little bit too much. So always try to keep it a little bit shorter and slightly under 30 minutes. But for Waveland Park this is not really possible because I want to take my time building things here in this beautiful park, and it takes a lot of time to come up with all these ideas and put them into reality in the park. So it is pretty hard, and I hope you guys are not mad about it that the videos in this park take a little bit longer. So like this one with close to 34 minutes. I hope you guys do like them, do still like them and enjoy the content that I'm creating for you, especially here in Waveland Park, because this park is really close to my heart because I put so much time and effort in this park. I have a lot of fun building that, and I hope you guys do have the same amount of fun as I'm when you're watching these episodes. So something that is very uncommon for me is the time I take in this episode for building the habitat for the giant otters that are going to be the first species in our river's edge area here. Normally building just building a habitat takes me about 1 hour, 1.5 hours if I take some time, because most things that I do is some kind of terraforming and putting down some rocks and some plants and some water features and something like that, and that's it normally. But for this build right here for the giant otters, it took me over 4 hours to build the whole thing because I wanted it to be really special and go into detail and make it look, I always say it in Waveland on these episodes, I want it to look a little bit Disney amusement park. So I don't know if it makes sense when I say that. I wanted to give it some kind of realism, but the kind of realism you see in amusement parks. So and does it make sense when I say over the top realism? So you try to build something and make it look realistic, but so much realistic that you can see it is not realism, so that it is fake. Sounds a little bit weird, I think, but that's exactly what I was going for, or what I'm going for with every single build that I do here in this park. So this completely over the top realism. One thing I noticed in here, as I'm going to build the viewing area right here, yeah, this is something that I do regret a little bit, because we won't see any of the giant otters diving. So why is that? That is very simple. It is because I didn't make the water level high enough, or I didn't dig deep enough for the water feature. So I forgot when I was laying down the path here that I had to dig a little bit deeper for the water so that our otters could really dive in here. So that is something that you won't see. I was thinking about fixing that problem, but fixing that problem would have meant that I had to delete the whole path around there, that I had to delete the whole barrier around here, and I had to delete absolutely everything and make it new. And as I was so happy with what I came up with and how the whole thing looked, I decided not to do that. Because if you go to a zoo and you have a look at some kind of the giant otter habitat, or small clawed otters or whatever, you might see exactly the height that we have in here for that pool or for that water feature, for that river, that we have right here. And the otters would dive in there. So they just don't do it here because the water is not deep enough for the game. But so I hope you guys can forgive me that you won't see any diving otters. It really, really did hurt me a lot, because I love the animations of the giant otters. But it is what it is. And in the end, I'm still very, very happy how the whole thing looks. And I also think our otters are very, very happy with the habitat. Yeah, so what I was going to do here, or what I was doing here, was I wanted to have the glass walls right here, where our visitors can see the otters underwater and can see them dive if they really would do. And I wanted the glass wall to be that low, like it is in here, because I hate those huge glass walls if it isn't in an aquarium. Everything else doesn't make that much sense to me, but that's just my opinion. So because it was that low, I was thinking about putting something on top of it, because I didn't want the otters to escape, because otters can very good climb as well. And I decided to have something like the mesh fence on top of it, so that in theory our otters won't be able to climb out and take a look at our visitors, or take a bite of our visitors, I might say. So that's why I put that meshed fence pieces on top of it. I don't know if it makes any sense for you guys, but I thought that this would be a great idea. You also might wonder why I put those wooden planks on top of the whole thing as well, but we are coming to that in a few minutes, because I also wanted to have some kind of a sunshade in there. That's something that I always want to have, especially when you are in such an environment that we are here in Waveland Park, so this tropical Florida, most of the year sunny environment. And also when you have something where you look through a glass wall, you always want to have some shade around that, so that you don't have the reflection in the glass the whole time and you can't see the animals well. So that's why I decided to put something like a sunshade on top of it. I also put down these little fence pieces here with the small metal fence, because I wanted to keep the visitors at least a little bit away from the glass. Because what I do really hate when I go into real zoos, and you have something like a glass feature where you have animals behind that, might it be an otter or might it be something else like fish, penguins or whatever. It's always not just children, but adults as well that stand before that and knock on the glass. And you just can imagine how loud that would be for the animals. So hopefully not that loud in most of the cases, because the glass walls are pretty thick most of the times, but sometimes they are not. And you can imagine that when you, if you ever been in a swimming pool or something like that, and you took a dive, when you are underwater, those noises from the outside are pretty much louder than you can hear when you're actually knocking on that glass. So it is very loud and bassy for the animals, and so I wanted to have something in there that at least keeps the people a little bit away from the glass, so that they would knock on it. With that being said, I think it would be a cool feature when we had some kind of that animation for our guests as well. Imagine when they would go to the habitat, have something like the glass wall here, and you have children or the people knock on the glass, and you have something like a security guy that goes to the people and says, no, don't do that. Wouldn't be a game changer, but be honest, wouldn't that be cool when you had something like this in the game? I think that would be a cool feature. So maybe in the future, no one knows what the future holds. And we are, about 2 months away from a possible new DLC. So I'm not going into any speculation on that right now, because there's still a lot of time that we have to go until there is going to be a possible new DLC. And you guys might not have seen everything of the conservation pack already, or still exploring all the features that we had in this great pack. As you can see, I put down some underwater plants already. That is something I also usually don't do when I build underwater features, but here in Waveland Park I'm going for that as well, and I didn't want the whole thing to look boring, and as I said, I wanted it to look natural and over the top natural, so I wanted to have some underwater plants in there as well. And what I'm doing right here is building the sunshade for our guests. By the way, I found something out. I have to check that before I state it as a fact. But when you have problems with those non-grid pieces and rotating them and copying them around, it might be the fact that you didn't turn it for 180 degrees when you copied it. So that means if you put down, for example, some kind of a wall piece, and you want to make it some circular shape, and want to copy that and put that on the opposite side, you must not forget to copy it, turn it around 180 degrees, and then go the distance. I don't know if it makes any sense when I say that to you. I hope you understand what I mean with that. If you don't do that 180-degree turnaround, it might not work when you copy it and circle it around. So it won't be on the grid that you want or that you need to go for. Yeah, so there's that. That is something that I think I found out. Because I never have, or at least most of the times, I don't have a problem when I do these round shapes and copying things around, and I don't have to put something like a pole in the middle of it. That's what I wanted to say. So I'm taking these off-grid pieces and just build something out of it, copy it, turn it around 180 degrees and then rotate it around, and 99% of the cases it works pretty fine. Yeah, so what I'm doing here is building the sunshade. You already saw that I built the frame and rotated it and copied it around, what I was telling right before that. And then I used these small wooden planks from the conservation pack, which I really love, the pack and the building pieces, and put them on top of it so we have that kind of a sun shape, and I really like that. I use that technique a lot, and especially in Swamp Lake Zoo and my German zoo, I use these a lot. The first time I used that, I guess, was for the platypus habitat, so that I had some kind of a roof for the outside area, so we had some kind of a shady area for the platypus in there. Yeah, we also need to have some signage for our first habitat in the river's edge. Don't worry, the penguin signs will go away. I will make new ones before the end of the video, so you can see the actual signs that I had in there. I also wanted to have some variation, the smaller ones on the side of the habitat and the bigger ones on the opposite side of it, with some different information or some kind of an advertisement. And I also wanted to have these statues as a little bit of a feature for those signs. Going to decorate that in a later stage, at the end of the video, so that it looks a little bit nicer, and to make it a little look a little bit different than what we had done for the penguin area. So we had to close that area up that goes into the waterfall for our visitor center here, or our welcome center for the river's edge. And so I decided to use some mesh fence as well, and some of the metal beams to frame it in a little bit, so that our otters could go right up to the edge here, but could not leave their habitat and swim down to the visitor center and swim around the pool down there. Also put in some kind of a natural barrier here, with those tree parts, to make it look a little bit nicer. Just turning those trees a little bit around, and then for the first time in a long time, I was using the water special effects. You're going to see that later, because first of that we are going to build the background of the habitat, which I was thinking about some American zoos that have also those fake rock walls in the backside of their habitats. Like I'm especially thinking of yeah, I don't know if it is exactly those fake rocks and fake trees and something like that, but I think it is in the Bronx Zoo in New York, where I've also been. They have something like that in their Asian area, in the indoor area, where you have something like a, yeah, like a wetland feature with water down there, and you have these fake trees and stuff like that for the monkeys. And yeah, that was what I was thinking of, as well as some of these yeah, I always say it again, of these Disney kind habitats, that you might also see something like that in Disney's Animal Kingdom, or yeah, something like that. So that was why I was building this fake rock wall with these fake trees in the background, and I think it fits the whole theme just perfectly. And I also did something new that I haven't done yet, but yeah, I did like the idea a lot. You might see that in a minute or in a few minutes. Yeah, but we might come back to that. I'm not. I don't want to jump that far ahead with what I'm telling you. So I'm going to tell you that when we are actually building that. First of all, I wanted to have some kind of a backstage area here. Not just wanted, we needed to, because we need our keepers to be able to go in the habitat. So what I was going to do is I built a path right from the visitor center on the back side of the whole thing, where they could leave the visitor center and go to the backstage area and into the habitat or into the house of the giant otters. Because what I'm also building, which is not on the video because it is just a very simple build with some walls and a roof on it, I built some kind of a house in the backstage area where our otters can go into, have a nap or whatever. So that was what I was building in on the backstage area here, where also our keepers can go into the habitat. And I built that fake rock wall just yeah, so a little bit overlapping. So when you stand in front of the habitat and you look at the whole thing, you won't notice that there is a path right behind that where the otters could go into a house or where the keepers could enter the habitat, so that you have this kind of an illusion there. Yeah, just decorating some stuff, those dead trees. I used a lot of them, or at least some of them. Also put some of them in the water, so that we have yeah, this kind of flooded river vibe here in the habitat. So I sunk that a little bit in the ground, turned it around, and you have this nice feature in the water, which in my opinion looks a lot like those overflowing rivers in yeah, in the Amazonas. Yeah, here I was looking for some I just don't know the words right now. Animal enrichment, yeah, that's what I was going for. And what I really do like is if you have these mud baths, just try to sink them a little bit into the ground or a little bit deeper than the actual floor on your habitat is, and put a little bit of a water feature on top of it. Make the water dirty so no one will see the mud bath, and when your animals walk through that little water feature, they will get dirty. And I really like that when you hide that a little bit. So here in the background you could see the Backstage building. And what I was doing in here, what you can see right now, I was using those fake trees and put real trees inside of them. So this is just a theory, but this might prevent animals from climbing those real trees, because they don't or they shouldn't be able to climb rock. But as I said, this is just a theory. I didn't check on that. So if you're trying to do something like that and in the end you're angry at me because it doesn't work and they still can climb that, don't be mad at me, because as I said, I didn't check on that, but I could imagine that this could work. I just put in those trees because I thought that looked really nice, and I didn't want to build some kind of trees with this fake trees for myself, and so that's what I was going for. So the next thing was, I'm also going to build something like a sunshade on this upper area here from the habitat, where our visitors can see on the land level of our giant otters. And we had this ugly spot in the middle of our path where the path didn't connect to each other. So what to do in here? Just put a tree in the middle, and if you have the sunshade on top of it, just put something like this metal circle piece around it, so that the tree can look through the whole thing. And yeah, build some sunshade with a hole in it where the tree looks through. Doesn't that look good? I'm very happy. Yeah, for sure it needs a little bit support, because right at the moment it is floating, but we are getting back to that in a second. Yeah, so here I was decorating a little bit more with those tree stumps, the signage for our otters, not for the penguins, even though the penguins are still on display here, but as I said, that will change pretty soon. At least until the end of the video there will be a solution for this, and there will be actual otter signage in there. Yeah, so yeah, as I said, we need some support because the whole sunshade right now is floating, and we don't want that, even though we are not going for any hyperrealism or something like that. We still want it to be as realistic as we need it to be. I also was trying to put some benches around that tree, because I definitely wanted our guests to be able to sit down here and have a look at the otter habitat, but for some reason it wasn't really possible to put down the benches. So if it is not possible, what are you going to do? Yes, of course, you build your own benches. So I used the family here, I kidnapped them, put them down right here close to the tree, so that I could actually see how big the bench has to be in theory. They cannot use it, I think you all know that. But I definitely wanted it to look like people could use it, so that it looks a little bit realistic. And so I built those fake benches and put it around the tree. So once again, building something, turning it around like this here, that is what I was telling you. Put it around in 180 degree angle, and then start to rotate it, and it works perfectly fine. Like you can see here, I had to do some adjustments because on the bottom of it those pieces wouldn't connect, of course, because we have so many levels in there. So I had to go in there and do some detail work, but in the end it worked fine, as in 90% of the cases. So the upper area is ready, at least for this time, because there's going to be a habitat on the other side as well, also a South American habitat. That is going to be where I want to have the capybara, because it would make a lot of sense to me to put the capybara in there and give them some kind of a nice wetland area. Yeah, and here is the part now what I was telling you guys about, where I was using the water special effects. I'm not using them very often, because since we have those fake waterfalls, I always tend to use those fake waterfalls and not go for the special effects. The special effect waterfalls, in some cases, if you do it right, they look better than the, what was I saying right now? The fake waterfalls, in some cases, if you do it right, look as nice as the special effect waterfalls. But if you are a little bit of a crafter or something like that, and you have patience and a good eye for detail, yeah, those special effect waterfalls always look better than the fake waterfalls. But yeah, it's up to you with what you can handle better. The easier way is always to go for the fake waterfalls. But never mind, I used those water effects in here, and I'm very happy with the whole thing, how it looks. And as you can already see, our otters finally moved in. That also means we are at the end of this episode. Unfortunately, I think you again have to wait. Oh my god, can you see how many people there are already? Yeah, which also means that you might have to wait 2 more weeks until we build the next habitat in Waveland Park. But I hope you guys enjoy it and you really like the time and effort that I put in all of this. And if you do so, just leave me a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next episode in Waveland Park, and also you don't miss a new episode on Arizona Adventure Park. That is always on Mondays on my channel. So until then, thanks for watching, see you guys soon, bye.